Hello traders, this is Rich from Tradesight. This is the market preview for the coming session. So this is going to be for Wednesday, May 30th, 2013. We had a down day today, pretty much across the board with all the major averages losing ground. We had a pretty good idea that that was going to happen from the scans that we found last night. They were all biased to the downside. You can always look back and review those on the YouTube channel if you care to. But you definitely saw some downside activity today. So a little rotation back into bonds after they had a very, very weak session the day before. So the TLT was up pretty sharply on the day. And as you expect, the VIX was higher on the day, but the New York trend wound up with a very, very low close. So a couple oddities out there, but on balance, definitely some real weakness out there. The other thing that we're going to look at is the advanced declines were very negative. You can see we're minus 1,850 issues on New York and minus 1,000 on Nasdaq. So, internally, definitely some things happening here, and we'll dig into that in just a few minutes. But let's first take a look at the ES futures chart. All right, so here's a look at the ES futures. Definitely kind of in this wide-ranging trade the last few sessions. We didn't take out these lows, about 1633 or so from last week, so those still held. We closed pretty much in the area of the 10 EMA, so right now we're just in this very wide range, really one of the widest trading ranges of the year so far, without any real direction just yet. The previous lows here at that level have been key support. These higher highs here up above plus 1/8 have been rejected by sellers, so it's going to take another day here to really kind of resolve this. MACD has climbed up very nicely and does have a negative cross in it, so that's another thing to kind of figure into the mix. Now looking at the NQ futures, the NQ futures are definitely very interesting. Same general design for the most part. One key difference: the count is much further along here in the seeker. So we're actually only one day away from getting an exhaustion warning from the seeker tool if we can have that criteria met. So definitely be on top of this. We'll keep this in front of you, and if this does wind up recording, this is definitely going to be very notable. It's going to really be the first one of this entire year, and that's always an event in and of itself. So key support remains at 2968, which is the 0/8 level and approximately last week's low. Key resistance is still going to be plus 2/8 at 3046, and of course the high from Friday, which was 3036. Okay, and here's a look at the 10-day trend. We did have that very, very low reading today, but it didn't really move the needle and get us down to that overbought threshold of 0.85 or lower. But keep in mind that that very low trend reading today of 0.51 is definitely going to be in the mix going forward. So once that 10-day average gets to that 0.85 or lower area, then we're going to be on guard for a reversal to be close at hand. Okay, now we had those real weak advanced decline figures, minus 1,800 on New York, and that's the side to watch here. Here's our trend line. It's been positive. You can obviously see that we're having a little corrective rollover here. If we start to continue lower and take out this trend line, that's probably going to be the death knell, and really a very, very strong signal that the market is ready to go into some sort of a correction. The Nasdaq side is still kind of within trend and kind of still holding up, but it does have a double top in place, and if we make a lower low, that's definitely going to be a notable event on the Nasdaq side. We had that real aggressive move in the TLT to the downside yesterday, and even though the market was not that solid, we had a huge spike in our ratio chart. Today we retreated with a return to strength by the TLT. This could be correcting off this really big impulse that we pivoted from here, and we've seen for all of May. We're going to see key support here at the lower boundary of this trend channel if we get back down to that. So definitely keep an eye on that area to the downside for first support in the ratio. All right, here's a look at our multi-sector daily chart. Definitely saw some pretty good strength today in the banking index. The BKX made a new high. You can see that's the green line pushing up higher here. The 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 B, the BTK, on the other hand, the biotechs were fairly weak, and you can see that they're really starting to threaten to record a lower low here after this lower high. So definitely be on top of that. You can see we have this rough double bottom in place here for the XAU. We played the GDX, which is the kind of the ETF surrogate for the XAU on the long side today. Had a nice trade there. This definitely has a lot more room to go. You can see how big this divergence is between the risk off and the risk on assets are. All right, so here's a look at the individual sectors ranked from best to worst. The XAU was the top performer on the day, up about 4%. Computer hardware was fairly strong because Apple's been kind of a counter-trend thing anyway. But I think the real takeaway here is just look at what's at the bottom of the list here. Housing is at the bottom of the list, not really positive. The pharmaceuticals were at the bottom of the list. We're 13 days up in the seeker, so we have an exhaustion warning in place in the seeker, and we're one day away from getting that as well in the Comer. So we're 12 days up here on the Comer. So keep an eye on that. These have been attracting a lot of money, as have the utilities. So these are things that are really definitely ripe and have a lot of room to correct to the downside if the market would in fact start to roll. The other count to watch here is the XOI. The XOI is 12 days up now in the Comer, so it's actually getting pretty close to potentially turning and rolling. So that's another one to keep on the radar. Here's a look at some of the key ones. Here's the XAU. Had this rough double bottom in place right at the 0 ace line at the 100 level. Had a very strong day today. Broke out fairly nicely, closed near the high of the day. You can see that we did close above the 10 EMA. Let's see if we can build on this and perhaps get back up to this 1 ace level at 112.50. Here's a look at the drug index. The drug index is 13 days up, starting to get really wide here. See how gappy and wide this is? Oftentimes when you see volatility increase like this, especially at tops, that means that nobody's really in control of this particular instrument anymore. It means the bulls are kind of running out of buying power. So this is definitely showing signs of potential turn. We also have this 13 exhaustion in place, and the risk level has not been breached yet. So that's still active and in play. Here's a look at the BTK index. BTK is still just kind of hovering around this 8 ace area. You can see this little triangle here that the pattern is tracing out. So once it leaves that little triangle, should have some pretty decent velocity to it. The other thing I wanted to take a look at tonight is the oil futures. Oil was really weak today. Settled today below the 50 DMA. Really for the first time this month. You see we pivoted and got above it, and it was above the 50 period moving average and the 200. Now we've lost the 50 as of yesterday's as of today's settlement. So the 200 is going to be in play next. That's about 92 and 3 ace. So be ready for that. That's going to be an important area, and that's also the low of these two tails here for the trading earlier this month. So if we start to lose this and break this, that's going to be a real negative sign for the market. So far, the static trend line here has not been able to be broken and has been really key support here, or key resistance rather. Here's a look at the gold miners, the gold shares. This is the gold futures, the YG minis. These settled right at the 10 EMA, so it hasn't even run yet. If we break out this pattern and pivot to the upside, I think we can definitely see this static trend line in play. That's coming in about 1460. So there's a lot of room there to the upside if the gold futures can get up and go and get moving in that direction. All right, folks, as always, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for Tradesight.